such an asshole.
Hello, children. All right, we have a request. If you have a request, you can go to soconsulting.com. This is economics. This is my forte, but it is not as clear-cut as it might seem. Heron, older people in their upper 50s to 60s have complained for years that it's almost impossible for them to find a job because of their age. It's not true. They're whiners. They're complainers. I had those complaints. I'm like, oh, well, then if it's based on your age, you should just become younger then. Oh, you can't become younger? Why are you whining, boomer? You don't control your age. God, I'm 47, 48, 53. Should I go back to college or should I just keep working my crappy job with no skills? No, boomer, this is back when I was younger. You should it's always age discrimination. And that's why the wool came off of my eyes. I'm like, oh, boomers complain just as much. It's the same thing. I can't make any money in the trades. That's probably because you don't show up on time, you're drunk, and you don't work extra. It really is. It's my favorite though, but it's age discrimination. Oh, you should just give up on everything. Yeah, not just a career. Give up on everything. Yep. Well, if something isn't fair, we should just stop. Just lie down. But with so many young people not wanting to work nowadays, and the ones that do have a job are often unreliable and mentally ill, I would think that would open up lots of doors for old people to find jobs, particularly 65 to 70-year-olds just looking for a part-time job to stay busy. The funny thing is that a 60-year-old with a bad back and bad knees, but a good work ethic that shows up to work on time could probably stock the shelves, drive a forklift, or deliver pizza better than your average 20 to 25-year-old nowadays. So my question is, do you think that the poor work ethic and unreliable nature of young people will make it a lot easier for older people to find jobs now and well into the future? Your thoughts? Yes, absolutely. Have you not seen it? Look, you don't need me as an economist to point it out. Do you notice how they can't find anyone to keep the Perkinses out here? I think there's 1, 2, 4. There's 4 Perkins in the Black Hills area. I don't think any of them are full 24/7 anymore. I know several people personally who run businesses. They can't find bartenders. Normally, these would be the jobs, wait staff, entry level type of jobs that would be handled by your late teens and early mid 20s, all the way up to your 30s. But the young people, and you could look at labor force participation rates, particularly among young men, but women too, have just gone down. People don't work. And yeah, when there's a shortage of labor, they'll go and say, "Oh, hey, do you want to come out of retirement?" And just as many, and the numbers verify what you speculate. 100%. Yes, wages have gone up. Of course, a lot of that is inflation too. But wait, remember how they were the fight for 15, the fight for 15. Now you got it, and now nobody wants it. But just as many anecdotal stories, they can't find young people working. And me just going out trying to build a house. You'll see every facet of work or lack thereof there. These old timers, they try to retire and they're like, oh crap, we didn't have Herman train in a replacement. Herman's the only one that knows how to run the CNC machine. Herman's the only one who knows that thing. Well, didn't you think you should probably? Oh, well, we didn't want to. And now here's where I'll side with the younger people a little bit as well. Well, we weren't going to do training programs. Why can't they just learn that at school? Why don't they? We're not going to train people. And so, in part because of poor management on the part of business, they have not trained the replacement generation. Boomers of any modicum of skill or talent are trying to retire, but they keep dragging them back. Heck, Doc ain't even a boomer, and you keep dragging him back. And I've heard, obviously in the trades, but yeah, if you want anybody, you don't have to be young or old. Anybody right now, I've said this a million times. If you are a young person or just someone in the job market, it has never been better. Never been better. For entry-level jobs, certainly college, like a real college degree. Those of you with history degrees, just please knock it off. Just go away. Go to a foreign country. Do something else. But I'm telling everyone, well, yeah, if you want to get a job, now's the time to do it. It wasn't this good adjusted for inflation when I worked, and you had to send out hundreds of resumes. And now, especially for younger people who are about to graduate from high school, boy, I don't think I'd go to college. I mean, you got another option. I know we always talk military, work security, major in STEM, going to the trades. A viable third or fourth option now is to, well, okay, sex is off the table, right? No one's dating anymore, right? Well, you don't have to worry about getting the girls, right? So why the hell would you waste $1,500 to $2,000 a month on rent? Stay at home with your parents, go work some kind of job. You could get some kind of a little bit of training and it'll go a long way. Truck driver, we always talk about that kind of thing. Get a forklift operator license, anything. Go work at some place. Start at $15, $20 an hour if you could find it, work the overnight shift and just bank money. And wait till you're 22 and instead of spending money for 4 years on a joke of a degree, you worked for 4 years on a fine bartending, waiter, waitress, whatever. All of a sudden you're making 40, 50 grand a year because of inflation. It wasn't what it used to be. You don't have rent. And then you're 22 and you're sitting on close to 100K. That's way more. That's way more. But that's for anyone who wants to work. Now, so yes, to answer your question, yes. The lack of young people showing up for work and participating in the labor force has had an effect. And yes, it is laziness. And yes, it is learned helplessness. And yes, it is victimhood, which is all colorful excuses for you're lazy. It's just excuses. Oh, I have a mental disorder. No, you don't. 42% of you do not have a mental disorder. A lot of you are faking it, and your parents said you have it just so they can feel good about themselves. You do not have a mental disorder. You're just lazy and don't want to work. That being said, so there is legitimate laziness, legitimate theft, parasitism. I don't want to work. Needs, genuine needs. All right. That being said, how did it get there? Why this generation? If you look at labor force participation rates amongst the old, it was pretty high in the 70s and 80s. Kids that even younger, like 16 to 19-year-olds, they do some kind of part-time job. That started to tank off in the 90s. But the youth labor force participation rate really didn't take until I have to double check 2000, 2005. So it's this generation. Well, what's been the thing? Well, a couple things. One, you have the advent of the internet, which brings awareness, makes it very clear. Combined, I'd say throw this in there. Combined with the housing crisis and the financial crisis, that made it very apparent that employers were just utterly unethical, complete garbage. And you have people like Josh Fluke and exposing how unethical modern day corporate employers and government employers are, all employers in America. And I've seen that too. I almost feel like I was still, and I've said it before, I'm kind of like proud with the Zoomers and millennials, the great resignation. Like, no, not doing it. Not doing it. All right. So employers have had a horrible reputation. And now they're starting to get around like, oh my God, you know we have to pay a living wage? Another thing, not political necessarily, but you conditioned a generation of young people that they don't need to work. You gave them stimmy checks. You conditioned everybody on that's not just young. Everybody got stimmy checks and rent moratoriums. And people changed their behavior after a year and a half, 2 years. Some people had to go work from home and everyone's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is a new normal. And they've made long-term structural changes to their behaviors and their decisions and their lives that they don't need a job. I mean, and of course, the Democrats are only more than accommodating with whatever forms of government aid, whether that's state, federal, or local, any form of welfare. But then, especially guys, they kind of said, well, I can get by on very little. I can live with my homes. I can live in my buddy's basement. People just got used to not working. Right? Then the Democrats have been phenomenally spectacular in raising the workforce they'd like to have, and that is one without a work ethic. The teachers in your guidance counselors, mainly K through 12, certainly, but definitely college as well. You've convinced a generation of young people that they don't have to work, that somehow they're entitled, they're disabled. It's the evil corporations, not wrong there. The evil Republicans in the Senate. And they've enabled them through, again, various forms of welfare and government programs and this and that. But the mentality, a lot of these kids are just, they're not mentally ill. They just don't have a work ethic. They've never had to suffer. And parents and government keep going, okay, you would only do this in Minecraft. You do not do this in the real world, but if a Minecraft Lego person, parent, were to say, they're just trying to find themselves, you should punch that Lego parent in the face because that means I didn't hold my children up to standards. 30-year-old trying to find himself. And how many have you given young people anything to look forward to? All you told young people, Democrat Party, oh, everything's bigoted and ism is an ist, and it's a hopelessity. You just need us. Oh, you should have UBI. Oh, it's so horrible. Oh, the oppression. Oh, that's demoralizing. And focusing on men because the labor force participation rate in men has dropped faster than women's. Have you seen the women? If you were a young man, would you go to war? I don't know if you're old, but I mean, at least the guys who are in their 60s and 70s now, the women were hot back then. At least there was the prospect of getting laid and women were cute. And you all think I'm joking. I'm not even in the slightest. There are very few pretty women out there, and they have not sent the message. What pretty women there are out there. No one has sent these young boys the message that women are interested in them or getting married or starting a family. So you've really taken the wind out of young men's sails when you don't even offer pretty girls at the end of it. So that's what I would argue explains the difference between the more drop in men's labor force participation than women's. So it's not just they're young, lazy kids. They're brought up that way. Corporate America, employers in America really didn't be honest. What's honest? They're scum. They were just unethical pieces of crap. They didn't really offer a good deal. Democrats, UBI, stimmy checks, all that allowed for people to live on. They don't have to now. And then exactly what future of America did you paint for young people to believe in and work towards? And I am absolutely shocked that Democrats like keep getting elected. And I understand why, but in some ways I'm like, man, you have no platform of hope or joy or happiness. None. It's all everybody's out to get you. If they're white, if they're male, the Republicans had said it, the Jews, the tall, the good looking, the mentally sane, the abled, all out to get you. And oh, you're oppressed and you need us. I'm like, boy, that is a sad, depressing view of America's future. And if you look at that, if you're like a 17-year-old kid, why the hell would you go work for that? And if you did, no kid looks at the taxes like, we're going to take how much of my money away? And you enable them to like just live at home, be on Obamacare until they're 26. Yeah. So I completely understand why the younger generation doesn't work. I get it. And now you have living wages. They're not the best. You can live, but obviously you're not going to be driving a Ferrari or anything like that. And are they picking them up? No, because now they got it. Here's your living wage. Employers are desperate. They're actually kind of being accommodating a little bit, and people are still lying flat. So yeah, it's a great time. If you're an older person, you want to make a little bit of extra money, go in, work. You know how to be on time, don't you? Right, boomers, don't you? I mean, my God, they can't find cops. I think Rapid City was looking for cops and dispatchers and all that. Military can't find people that can throw a grenade more than 20 yards. Yeah, kind of the world's your oyster now if you got a simple work ethic. And of course, I'm always like, hey, don't believe employers. They're just, it's like the girlfriend who you lectured and read the riot act to, and she's acting nice a little bit, but she'll go back to being her regular bitchy self down the road. Employers are like that right now. They'll be really accommodating and nice now, but don't worry, they'll go back once the unemployment rate switches back. They'll go back to being their normal selves. But right now, yeah, you want to change jobs? Is your boss giving you guff? Did they lie about the job description? Bye. Wait, no. Shh. Quiet. The employee is talking. Your greatest asset is talking. You need me more than I need you because you vote Democrat. You sent all your kids to college and they voted Democrat to go ahead and provide a government aid program so I don't have to work for you, okay? Shh, no talking. You will pay me $5 an hour more or I go to the competition. Well, that's highly blah. Yeah, now's the time to go in. And I've been saying for a while, Lord knows when the good times will end. They will end. They will end. Everything ebbs and flows. But yeah, it's not the worst time ever. It's been the best time ever. Kind of a weird economy, technically we're in a recession. But unemployment's very low, but labor force participation rate is also very low. Like you could work it's almost like the 40s or 50s, like out of high school, you can work a job and support yourself. And if housing prices keep going down, some of you guys might be able to afford a home. All right, subscribe to the channel if you will. All right, so link below. Enjoy the decline, accepting living with the death of the United States, and then also is a link to my teachable course titled Achieving Financial Excellence. If you are serious about employment, starting a job, getting it, please take that course. It is your very first step in getting your financial planning together. So before you take a 401k course, before you start reading books, please take that course. It's $99. I don't care. That's dirt cheap based on what it's going to tell you. Because you'd be like, oh, is that what finance is about? Oh, because I was going to go and read this book and contribute to my 401k and not know why. Just because they told me to do it. Dung is fun, $5. When are they going to change the definition of laziness to a mental disorder? Oh, but sooner or later, it'll happen. Probably this year. I thought what would be great for men is if the DSM-5 or whatever, the psychology profession wants to label masculinity toxic and as a mental disorder, why don't we claim disability then? We should do that. We absolutely. I'm not even being joking in the slightest. I suffer from toxic masculinity. I am disabled. I can't find a job because I'll just offend everybody and harass all the women. Yeah, I need my SSI check. Wouldn't it be great when the only people working are going to be women with their master's degrees and MBAs, but they won't know how to change a tire? They'll be paying 70% taxes. They'll keep voting Democrat. They'll bitch and whine about, hey, why are we paying more in taxes? We're working more. Why do we have more college degrees? Why are the men on welfare? Are you going to vote Republican? Okay, I'm on welfare. Oh, no. Beauregard, fetch me my toxic masculinity fainting couch. I have come down with a case of the toxic masculinities. Oh no, I can't do the works no more. Government, give me the money. Ladies, please keep voting Democrat. We might see that. We might actually see that where women are the majority workers. They're the majority of college attendees, college graduates. That does not mean the majority of workers, let alone they produce the majority of important stuff. They're still not the majority producers of GDP. But the day's going to come, guys are just going to drop out. Look, girls, you took yourself off the table. Guys are not at the table anymore. And I want you girls to all become doctors and nurses and accountants and engineers and train conductors and politicians and government workers. And I want you to vote Democrat. I want you to raise taxes to 60%. So me and my brethren, me and my bros, we can sit on the hammock and play our video games. Well, you're not going to vote Republican, are you? I mean, come on. I mean, that'd be just crazy. Crazy talk. It might happen in my day. I might see it. I might see it where women are just carrying this country, limping it along at a fraction of its potential. And all the guys are like, nope. They're like, what's his name? Freddie Benson from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I say it's time for a change. I say let them take care of us for a while. Probably shocks a guy like you. Do you really think it's possible? Nick Corkadoilis. Are you Greek? Greek? €2. Is UBI possible in the current first world economy? Well, yeah, it kind of is. We already have UBI. It's called the welfare state. it it's right now what we have is a very complicated multi-program, multi-government layer, at least in the United States. I'm sure it's the same in Europe. You have all these different programs for housing, food, tuition, income. They're even doing pilot income assistance. That's all UBI. All it is. And there's been arguments say like, look, let's get rid of all these different programs, welfare, TAMF, EBT, WIC, Section 8, all of it, and we'll just give UBI to people that make this certain amount or less. Here's your check, blah, blah, blah. But I think even the Democrat politicians know they can't do it because their constituents, like your rank and file Democrats, or socialists in your case, are such stupid people. They will take the money and buy drugs and fun and all that, and they won't pay rent. So you guys say, well, we'll pay your rent for you, or here's food. You can only use it for food. So yeah, UBI is already there. Now, is it possible? Or I guess the better question, is it sustainable? Probably not. Depends on what percent GDP you take it and what percent of your labor force you disincentivize to work so it can no longer produce the things that are needed to support the economy. I mean, the biggest UBI program or experiment would have been probably North Korea, Soviet Union, where it's like all the money, here it is all for everyone, and no one worked. And the only way you got people to work was to threaten them with death. And so if UBI is like enough to barely keep you alive, but still make you uncomfortable, that might incentivize people. But man, look at what people survive just to avoid a job. I mean, look at all the people that would be homeless and live in a tent before they go get a real job. I mean, it almost makes the case that you got to get rid of it entirely. It's like, no, it's death, work or death, and it's not us. Unlike the Soviet Union or any kind of socialist utopia, the government is not killing you. You are killing you. Nature is killing you. We're not doing anything. So a very small UBI, only in extreme cases, so you don't impair the rest of the labor force. You basically don't lull them and pay them not to work. That would be possible. But but you go much bigger and you don't put like limits on it, then everyone's going to go on it. Because most 85% of 85% of people, I know Americans, I detest them. 85% of people, if you gave them a choice, like never work again, but you got to live in government housing or a tent, they'll take it. They will. They'll take it. There's only like 15% of people like, no way, I deserve better. I'll go work for it. Yeah. But especially today, you're I'd say at least 80, maybe 75% of the people like, look, you can have government housing, never work again, but you get government food, government house, not going to be great. They'll take it. They'll take it. They want their video games. And you kind of see that, like, Zoomers are all living at home and millennials, although I understand with super high rents, but how many of them are like doing what I recommend and hustling and working and saving their money? Very few. They're just staying home playing video games. Dung is fun. $5. Young men that want to get into machine shop and learn how to machine without training, work cheap, and learn as much as possible. There you go. Boom. There it is. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.